Jeff here with Digital Trends, and we're looking at the Sony Xperia P. This is the middle brother in a new line of Sony phones that have been coming out this year called the Xperia Next series. So there's also the S and the U. U is smaller, the S is a little larger. And this is kind of the spiritual successor to the Sony Xperia Ion, which is on AT&T right now. This phone itself is not available in the US yet, but it may come before the end of the year. It's hard to say, but it is available all around the world. So as you can see, it's got a typical kind of Sony design. This is one of the first Sony branded phones. Doesn't have Ericsson on there, but it still retains that Xperia style from the Ericsson days. A little cleaner though, a little nicer. Doesn't have your typical kind of flap there on some of the European phones. So they are taking some cues and improving their design a little bit. So we had no real problems with the design. It's also got this little clear strip on the bottom there. You can see through it, which has your haptic buttons. Those worked a lot better. We had some trouble with the haptic buttons on the Xperia Ion and some of the other handsets, but this one worked quite well. So it'll be hard to see on the camera here, but this is an incredibly bright, and it gets very, very white. Sony's calling it a white magic screen. It's only a 4-inch display, but it actually is one of the brightest handsets we've seen. Runs on a form of TFT LCD, which I have no idea if you know what that is, but it doesn't really matter. Basically, it just gets very bright, very white, very colorful. Very good screen. Hasn't really impacted battery life that I can tell. And it looks pretty good. The screen is complemented by Sony's user interface, which looks pretty good. This is running Android 2.3 Gingerbread, which is a little old, about a year and a half old. Some users of the Xperia P around the world are already getting an update to Android 4.0. We haven't gotten that update yet. We've been trying to, but it has not come through here. So the only interface we've seen is the Android 2.3. They say the update to 4.0, it adds a lot of benefits, but one of them would be battery life. We'll get a little bit better on standby. And we haven't really had a problem with battery life as is, so that's good. Rear camera performed pretty well. You can read in the review any issues I had. Not really a big problem. Isn't the best camera, certainly not the worst, not as bad as some of the Motorola cameras. And overall, pretty good handset. A little tough to hit. If you're holding it like this, the buttons are fine. If you hold it with your right hand and you don't have smaller hands, if you do have smaller hands, this is good in general because it's only a 4-inch screen. Most devices are upwards of close to 5 inches these days. And the power button's a little low because they chose to put a speaker here. And the volume's a little low as well, so you kind of have to creep your hand down there to get it. And we'll show it to you side by side with a Galaxy S3. So as you can see, this can practically fit inside the screen of the Galaxy S3. But it is much easier to get around. We didn't have really any problems with the screen size. So if you're looking for a smaller phone and you're willing to order it online because you're not going to find it from wireless carriers here, the Sony Xperia P might be a good option.